Good evening. I think I'm a minute early. I just so look forward to it every day that I count the seconds to when I can go on and look at myself in the phone and talk to you. Oh, and I'm talking to you. And the more we get into my book, the more I know I'm supposed to do it. Let me put the light on. Hello. My hair's still white. Chapter 10, I'm going to still continue with today. Good Shabbos, my Jewish brothers and sisters. Have a blessed day, everybody else, and whatever you're celebrating, celebrate it. I'm going to continue with chapter 10, which I started yesterday. It was prioritizing and organizing. And I felt that one was something that was extremely important, obviously. And the other thing before was making a personal environment, an impersonal environment, personal. So most of you by now who've been following me know my story, so I don't spend the time going into that. Jeff, my bisexual husband did contract AIDS. He was in the hospital. This is in June 1992. So please don't compare it to today, except perhaps some of it, we'll get into that, but please focus on where I am in my life, June 1992. He was in the hospital when he was diagnosed gravely ill. He was in the hospital. And since I didn't know whether he would live and die, I had to take I had to do what I had to do, and I didn't know when he'd be coming home. So when I said to make an impersonal environment personal, what I meant was maybe you can relate to a family member in a long-term care facility, or someone who's in the hospital for a long time, or any situation where you want that person to feel love and life and hope. That's the biggest part of it, hope. If you take away one thing from my story, please take away hope. A woman who has hope and will never stop believing, will always hope. It's what gets you through. So anyway, what I did was I brought everything from the house into his room. And there were pictures all over, artwork. I brought his meals in because he wouldn't eat hospital food. So I made the room a mini house because he was going to be there for a while. If you do get a chance to do that, that's what I'm saying. Bring things in that will make the room feel so much better, because when that person does open their eyes or becomes aware or responds, they're going to want to see that there is love and happiness and hope and some kind of feeling of well-being around. So that's what I did, and as I said, that was chapter 9. And we finished that up pretty much. But then when I started with chapter 10, part of that was prioritizing and organizing. Before I do that, I want to say that yes, go to SusanMintz.com. If you read the short story version and go through enough interviews, you'll know all there is to know about the lady reading her book into her phone in Boca 30 years later. An assignment from God. We all have assignments. Mine was to love this man. I still do. And I think life is nothing but that. You have assignments that God gives you from the time you're born to the time you pass. And I hope I have completed most of my assignments. A big one 30 years later was to read my book. To read it to whoever wanted to hear it, whoever wanted to see it, whoever knew that it was going to one day be so big that it would be made into the greatest love story. Remember one thing also about love stories. They don't always end well. There's tragedies. There's everything in a good love story. You might as well have a barroom brawl with a few dozen people. A love story is going to knock you down, punch you around, kick you out. It's going to do everything, but there's going to be that one person that walks out of there going, yes, I did that. That's life. Life is a barroom brawl. But you know what? You can beat it. You can do it. And you can help others in the process by telling them they can be their own superhero. I tried watching the Batman movie today. I tried watching it twice. It's not my kind of movie, and I fell asleep during it, and I woke up with the same times when it was on. I couldn't get through it, but at the very end, though I forced myself to watch, it's just not my kind of movie. But at the very end, there's the word hope. Even in tragedies, there's hope. Even in war movies, there's hope. Even in dramas, there's hope. Hope is a theme in so many different genres of movies. Well, I can tell you right now, I'm about hope. So I'm going to read you. In the hospital, I brought the phone home to him. I took care of him in the hospital. That was chapter 9. Then I had to bring him home. You're going to also hear some noise outside. I can't stop it. The mail just showed up. So the people are out there like little pigeons looking for the popcorn kernels. I love my neighbors. But at 5:30, sometimes the mail comes and I have to deal with it. So when we went into chapter 10, I said that I was apprehensive about bringing him home because in the hospital there was a sense of security. But then I knew since I had to take him home, and I wanted him home because that's where he would really get well. The doctors did all they could, obviously, but now it was up to me to do it. So I took all the old meds and everything else that reminded us of where he had been at home and ill, and I put them all, tucked them away in the laundry room where I knew he'd never go. So I said I was both excited and and uncomfortable, and everything was going through my head, and it was a holiday weekend. It was July 4th. Oh my, what if something went wrong? I mean, I was so new at this. Trust me, on a long-term illness, as crazy as it is, you can get good at what you've got to do. Manageable chaos, rigid flexibility, all of it. But the 3 things Jeff needed when he came home, and I think what brought me to tears yesterday was when I said, when he walked back in the house, I brought everything back from the hospital, and I brought it into the house. It was perfect. So when he walked through the house, he looked at me and said it was the most beautiful house he'd ever seen. He was home, and now it was my time to get him well. So as I said, he had to eat, rest, and relax. One of the first priorities was the phone. Before he took ill, the phone was an amazing thing because people cared, and they were all just doing anything they could to bring me hope and life and help me. But once he was home, then I knew he had to eat, rest, and relax. The phone, which was so needed for a long time, was exactly what I couldn't put up with then, and neither could he. He was resting at all times of the day. He wasn't sleeping that well. So the phone calls were constant, and they were becoming a nuisance. So I'm telling you some of the things I had to do, and that's why getting into the nuts and bolts, you can read about my story effortlessly on my website, but getting into the nuts and bolts of my life with him and this story is going to tell you how you'll be able to get through rough times that might be a long-term illness. It might be your parents, it might be a husband, it might be a child, but I'm giving you some of the basics on what you might have to do. And this doesn't matter if it was 30 years ago or today. You're going to have to make choices, and these will be hard choices to make, but if you want your loved one, or if you're the caregiver, if you want them to get well, you'll have to make some choices. So what I did was the phone, and as I'm going to back up now, I always read the last paragraph, and we are going to go through a lot tonight, so I want to stay on point. We decided for the first few days, until we got organized, I would tell family and friends that when you were sleeping, I was taking the phone off the hook. If you had the energy after you woke up and wanted to speak with someone, that was up to you. If not, I would handle the phone calls myself. I had to be honest with everyone and stated that you needed this time to regain your strength. I couldn't be more specific because we were trying to get a routine established and our life back on track. I told your parents that I would call them twice a day and keep them informed about everything that was going on. Other than you, they were my priority. They were the ones who had carte blanche, quotes, carte blanche to their son. And when you wanted them to visit, I picked them up. For several weeks, in order to maintain our privacy and conserve your energy, I felt it was my responsibility to handle the telephone situation. Eventually, you would have plenty of time for visitors and phone calls. I just want you to ask yourself, do you think that there is anyone else reading their book every 5:30, not knowing who's at the other end, but checking her phone every 5 minutes? Who's on? Who's on? I love what I'm doing, and as hard as some of it's going to be, and for many of you, you won't be able to continue. But for new people coming on, what I'm going to get into is exactly what you're going to need in the days and years ahead. And I'm telling you honestly, I'm giving you some very good advice. Here's where we're going to start on Saturday, the 23rd, continuing with chapter 10. Since you were very weak, remember, I've only read my book once as an Audible and it didn't pan out, so this is new to me too. Since you were very weak and didn't have the energy to go out, I decided to bring the entertainment to you. We loved going to the movies. Remember how many times we did 3 shows in one day? We called them our marathon watches, quote, marathon watches, end quote. We had so many to get caught up on, and it was something we looked forward to. Every day, I picked a movie that seemed appropriate for our dinner. At 8:00 p.m., I rang the dinner bell. Ding, ding, ding. We went into the den, and I served you the, quote, specialty of the house, end quote. For several weeks, we had front row seats to the best show in town. I'd watch you eat, relax, and fall asleep during it. I was so excited the first night you ate your entire dinner and stayed awake through the entire movie that I got the camera out and took a picture of your empty plate. I'm going to get into the one that says baby steps, but this was a gigantic leap of, this was incredible. Ready? For several weeks we had front row seats, all right, to the movies. I'd watch you eat, relax, and fall asleep during it. There's going to be a lot of fun times through this too, if you can hang in with me. There's going to be a lot of laughter. That's why the movie or the series is going to be great, because you're going to be left with cliffhangers that are drama. And, oh, well, could she handle this? And you're going to be left laughing and going, what? So here it is. There it is. For several weeks, we had front row seats to the best show in town. I'd watch you eat, relax, and fall asleep during that movie. I was so excited. The first night you ate your entire dinner and stayed awake through the entire movie that I got the camera out and took a picture of your empty plate. Little things. I eventually had to address the issue concerning our sleeping arrangements. You used to say, quote, we were playing spoons, end quote, because we fit so well when we slept together. I cherished the nights when you held me in your arms. Love story. You always made me feel safe and secure. I thought since the pneumonia was gone, we would be able to sleep together again. But your sleeping habits had changed, and it was difficult being in the same bed with you. You were restless, ran low-grade fevers, had night sweats, coughed, and snored. You always complained that your legs were jumpy, and you couldn't find a place for yourself. I put night lights around the room because when you woke up, you were groggy and bumped into things. There was a pitcher of ice water near the bed at all times because you woke up thirsty several times during the night. Sleeping together was once easy, comfortable, and natural, but now it had become a difficult and uncomfortable nightly situation. Getting into bed caused us great tension, and my agitation caused me to lose patience with you. Rather than cause you any more and further stress, I chose to sleep in another bedroom. If we were to adjust to our new life together, our communication would have to be better than ever. Well, maybe I slept in another bedroom because I couldn't sleep because Jeffrey was ill. But a lot of people sleep in separate rooms. Don't think it's the way it works. Every morning for the next few weeks, we'd made tentative plans for the day and thought about what we might want to do. You were getting stronger, staying awake longer, tolerating your inhalation treatments, and feeling better. We started to have visitors in, and you began taking short walks. Your appetite was definitely coming back, and you put on 3 pounds the first week. I am a great cook to this day, even though I don't. You were so excited and came flying out of the bathroom that morning. We celebrated with cake and ice cream for breakfast. I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but I'm telling you, you will. He put on 3 pounds in 1 week. He was so excited he came flying out of the bathroom that morning, and we celebrated with cake and ice cream for breakfast. As long as I focused on your best interests, I knew I could get you well again. I knew I could get him well again. That's hope. That's faith. That's belief. And that's God. That's the God in me that knew I could do anything for him. And I would do everything. And he would get well, at least for now. I knew I could get you well again. We used our time effectively. It didn't matter how long it took for you to recover. We were settling into a lifestyle and routine that took a lot of time, organization, and prioritizing, but it was paying off. And that's what will happen. You will have back and forths, up and downs. It'll be a mess some days, and some days will be better. But if you make your list and prioritize what is the most important thing you have to do for that person, maybe for your own self, for real, in your own personal life without anybody else, make a list of your priorities. You come first. Take care of yourself. Change your diet. Watch what you eat. Make a list of how you want to be better for you. And then put the positives down and the negatives and weigh them. Organization. There's a reason why organization stuff on TV is so popular, because most people don't have organizational skills from birth. But now it's so simple. I didn't have those things with origamis and all the organizing I have, but I was blessed to be organized by nature. I was blessed with gifts that God gave me that enabled me to make this better. By the end of September, and remember we're talking about I brought him home July 4th weekend, 1992. By the end of September, so that's July, August, September, 3 months, you were really feeling better. We had become familiar, knowledgeable, and confident with every aspect of this disease. Get to know your opponent. Get to know your enemy. Find out everything. I didn't have Google. I didn't have any of the search engine stuff. I learned. I learned the hard way in some ways. I learned because I knew I was able. God, again, there's faith through my whole book. If you don't have hope and faith, you don't know. We had become familiar, knowledgeable, and confident with every aspect of this disease. We learned to understand the physical, psychological, and emotional issues we faced. By working together, we managed to become stable and comfortable with our situation. Remember, though, this is we're stable and comfortable at the moment. Back and forth. We accepted the disease as a part of our life, worked around it, and tried not to control it. But organization was the key word. Organization. Don't try to control the situation, especially if it's a long-term situation. Don't try to control it. Don't let it control you. Try to work through it and around it. You'll only make more problems for yourself if you really think you can do it all. No, but you can do some of it really good. We accepted the disease as a part of our life, worked around it, and tried not to control it. But organization was the key word. I continued to document everything in my journals, keeping precise records of your temperatures, side effects from the medications, or any other symptoms you might develop. Remember, I've said writing is the key. Writing is the key to everything in your life. Everyone has a story. You are not a statistic. You are not to be treated with disrespect. You are not to be presumed or assumed. You are a human being. And you have purpose. And you have a life. And you have a story. And maybe one day you'll tell it. Or maybe one day you won't. But you have a story. The more detailed I was with writing in my journals, the more information I had to give the doctors and the data I had to compare it with. I could go day to day. I could go month to month. I had it dated. I had Post-its. Those we still had then. I had everything organized so I could refer back. You can do this. I'm not a superhero. Maybe to myself I am, but not to you. You can do it. Be your own superhero. I don't know why I got on that. It's that Batman movie made me nuts. Hope. I was more detailed than I'd ever been, and the more information I had to give the doctors and data I had to compare it with. The doctors didn't have a specific plan of attack, and they weren't sure what all the options were. It was 1992. Half of them didn't even understand AIDS. A lot of your recovery was based on how well your body responded to the treatments. Regaining your appetite, energy, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle helped in your remarkable recovery over the next 3 months. I get very animated. I'm not moving around as much, but there's the mailbox. I look back on that Saturday morning, there we are, July 4th, when you came out of the bedroom and said, quote, "What's for breakfast?" End quote. Everything we ever were or were to be was tested when you became ill. But tonight, this is July 4th, but tonight, if you don't think this is the Notebook on steroids, this is every love story. And if you don't think this is worth it for hundreds of millions of people around the world, then you don't know what love stories are about. I am so confident about this. Read this right now. I'm so chilled. Praise God. Here we go. This is going to be the end of it. And then we will start baby steps in chapter 11. Here we go. I look back on that Saturday morning, July 4th, when you came out of the bedroom and said, quote, "What's for breakfast?" End quote. Everything we ever were or were to be was tested when you became ill. But tonight, we held each other under a starlit, magical sky and celebrated life, love, and your recovery. We watched fireworks exploding around us, and the balmy night air caressed our skin. Nothing terrible happened to us tonight, and this perfect evening shall remain in my memory forever. I never want to say goodbye to you again. I loved you more tonight than ever before, and that strength and devotion will help you heal. All right, this is a little crying moment. That was it. Got him home from the hospital, and it took 3 months of commitment. I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I loved. And I remember the good times. Most of the bad is in here that I don't remember. The good times are what are in here and in my heart. I promise you, no matter how rough it gets in life, you won't remember the bad as much as you remember the good. Ooh, that was a big one. So we're dancing under a starlit sky on July 4th, 1992, 2 weeks out of the hospital. 3 months later, he'd regained his 20 pounds, looked good, wasn't ever quite the same as, of course, he was. He was so violently and gravely ill. When you're ill like that, you don't get it usually way back up to where you were so very healthy, and you waited to the last minute to get ill, and then it's a real sharp curve. It's a curve. But we were together. We were together. I don't think I cried enough. Let me just repeat those last few sentences for those of you who might have to turn this off because you're a mess, because you're relating to love. You're relating to someone you lost, or you're relating to someone maybe you'll love one day. Maybe you're looking for love. Don't look for it. It'll find you. So here we go. I have to redo this one. I look back on that Saturday morning, July 4th, when you came out of the bedroom and said, "What's for breakfast?" Everything we ever were or were to be was tested when you became ill. But tonight we held each other under a starlit magical sky and celebrated life, love, and your recovery. We watched fireworks exploding around us, and the balmy night air caressed our skin. We lived in a high-rise, so we were seeing fireworks. Nothing terrible happened to us tonight, and this perfect evening shall remain in my memory forever. I never want to say goodbye to you again. I loved you more tonight than ever before, and that strength and devotion will help you heal. I would probably venture to say that there's not a dry eye in the house. And probably also, it's a song, Meatloaf, who was my favorite. I'm so sorry he died, Meatloaf, the singer. God, I would love to have met him. There's only a couple people in my life I would like to have met, and he was definitely one of them. And on his Bat Out of Hell album, which I have every one of his CDs he's ever made, there's, I forgot, I lost my train of thought. Wait, hold there with me. I loved you more tonight than I ever did before. And then there's, I can't remember. I'll remember later. But all I know is his songs touched my soul. But I can't remember why I got onto him, but he was great. So just remember, if you've ever loved, you'll understand. If you ever want to know a love story, I got the best one on the planet. If you know someone who could use a little hope, that's it. If you know someone that needs a little help, share. Please, I always say share. That's the best thing you can do for me, is to reach out and share it with somebody who might be going through a rough time and maybe doesn't need my story, but needs you to say, I love you, I care about you, you're worthy, you are worthy. Thank you, Richard and Jamal, and all you other people who are watching, but I never see or come. I don't see it till later. Or people who view my story, and yet they go to my Facebook page. All these posts, all these readings / episodes are on my Facebook page. Please share. And I just want to say, I still can't remember why I went on to the Meatloaf one, but it had to be something important. Oh, you'll never be as young as you are right now. That was it. Remember, you're never going to be as young as you are right now. Tomorrow's not promised, so capture this moment. Capture how you feel right now. Put it on paper. How do you feel at this very moment? Put it down. That one feeling, that one sentence might be the one thing that sets you on a whole nother course. I wish you on this Shabbat, this Sabbath, half an hour later, I know that's a lot for some of you, so you're watching in increments. Sahara, what exotic names I have coming to my sight. I thank you all, and you know what I'm going to say. I did get emotional, but that's because love can make you do crazy things. Who said that? Johnny Depp. Or I don't know who it was that said that. He said, love can make you do crazy things. Love what you won't do. Oh, that was the Meatloaf thing. What I did for love. Or it was a Bette Midler, it was a share. What I did for love. Just remember that. What you will do for love. We do amazing things for love. And we say it's love. It's pure. It's real and it's honest. Thank you. Oh, my friend, Isaac. I have to still remember how to pronounce your name, and I know you'll catch up. I know many of you are catching up because I go back into my own episodes and see the views. So I know if somebody's watching a little bit at a time, it's a lot even for me. But you're worth it. Jeffrey was worth it. Shalom. Hello. Hello, goodbye. Shalom, peace. May you have a peaceful Saturday night. And to my Christian friends, sisters and brothers, may you have a blessed tomorrow if you go to church. But for everyone and anyone, please be kind. Try to have a little more patience and call someone. God bless you all, and shalom, peace. Shalom, peace. I'll finish as always. That's the most, other than putting the light on, the most exciting thing is when I hit finish and it works. I love all of you. I thank you all so much for your support.